Welcome to this presentation. This presentation is by Team 4 and we'll be discussing about the Design World project report. The USD Cyber Cloud team implemented application hardening, server hardening, and network hardening to minimize Design World system vulnerabilities and potential attack vectors. In this presentation, we'll be discussing about key documents that have been delivered to Design World and what we have learned from these documents. The documents we'll be discussing are System and Security Requirements Document, Vulnerability Assessment Plan and Report, Penetration Test Plan and Report, Project Change Request and Security Hardening Plan, Post-Hardening Vulnerability Assessment Report, Post-Hardening Penetration Test Report, and Information System Security Plan. All supporting testing, security controls, and other processes that are put in place to secure this international structural design organization is in compliance with NIST Special Edition 171 and ISO 27000, including other laws, regulations, and policies that apply to the business. USD Cyber Cloud created the System and Security Requirements document by focusing on company-specific goals, objectives, policies, and potential threats. This document is created to establish the security training capacity and system architecture requirement, along with system acceptance criteria agreed upon by USD Cyber Cloud team and Design World's key stakeholders. This document describes the overall system and security requirements that govern the development and implementation of Design World's system.
Vulnerability Assessment Plan. Vulnerability assessment is the process of defining, identifying, classifying, and prioritizing vulnerability in systems, applications, and networks. The first step of our plan was to understand the importance of devices on our network and the risks associated with each. Next, we plan to use OpenVAS, Nessus, and Nmap to perform the vulnerability scan and identify system weakness. Once potential vulnerabilities have been determined, an evaluation will be conducted. The process will be accomplished by using the Common Vulnerability Scoring System (CVSS). At last, we gave out some common examples of vulnerabilities and how we were going to treat them. This process helped to discover vulnerabilities and design flaws. It is important to target multiple areas of operation in order to have a comprehensive assessment. Vulnerability Assessment Report. We performed the vulnerability scans by using Nessus and Nmap to the virtual machines in the Sandbox private cloud environment. The operating system we scanned included Windows Server, Windows 10 Pro, CentOS 7, Ubuntu 20, and targeted specifically on the 13 individual VMs provided by Design World. The Nessus section identified and described the critical and high-level vulnerabilities. Severity score levels ranged from 0.1 to 10. There were 2 critical severity level, 6 high severity level, 14 medium severity level, and 5 low severity level vulnerabilities identified. In the Nmap section, we scanned 13 VMs and reported open ports, and the service began run on them along with service versions and their associated vulnerabilities. At last, we gave recommendations on how to harden the system, what tools the organization can use to scan and patch the system, and what security policy we should follow. When we were writing the vulnerability assessment report, we understood the client might not have a technical knowledge level of us, so we wanted to make sure that the report was written in simple sentences and add references for technical information.
To validate the current security posture on the systems, a white box penetration test was conducted. We were provided with the necessary network and system information to develop a penetration testing plan. The plan ensured that Design World was aware of the potential risk and to acquire explicit authority to perform the penetration test. The plan outlined the rules of engagement, timing, scope, and status reporting. This plan was encompassed by the 7 main sections of the penetration testing execution standard as shown in this slide. However, this strategy of the penetration testing procedures were characterized as reconnaissance, vulnerability identification, and exploitation. The penetration testing report details the evidence and findings during the vulnerability assessment and defines results, including the methodology and testing activities. It determines any potential vulnerabilities within the system that could have been a potential threat to the company. All testing was coordinated with DesignWorld's IT staff members to ensure safe and complete testing procedures within the approved scope. Efforts were placed on identifying security weaknesses which were successfully exploited that could allow a remote attacker to gain unauthorized access to organizational data. The findings consisted of the following systems and vulnerabilities in this slide.
The process by which an organization decreases its susceptibility to attacks is known as security hardening. The security hardening plan seeks to provide a comprehensive and clear explanation of the changes that USD CyberCloud proposes to implement to reinforce DesignWorld's cybersecurity strategy. Based on the vulnerability assessment and penetration test findings, USD CyberCloud has advised changes to settings and procedures. The effective execution of these proposed modifications will add to the overall security posture of DesignWorld. The suggested changes would bring DesignWorld in line with ISO 2700 and NIST SP 171 requirements. Security hardening is a set of approaches, strategies, and industry standards that are used to minimize vulnerabilities in technology applications, platforms, networks, firmware, and other domains. To reduce DesignWorld's system vulnerabilities and possible attack channels, the USD Cyber team performed server hardening, application hardening, and network hardening. All vulnerabilities were patched for the Windows Server 2016 and Windows 10 workstations, project change requests, or PCRs, utilizing Security Technical Implementation Guides, STIGs, and Security Content Automation Protocols, SCAP, scanning. CentOS workstations and CentOS servers were patched using recommended hardening security strategies for each individual finding based on what was found in the vulnerability assessment report.
After hardening procedures were conducted, a post-hardening vulnerability assessment had to be conducted to determine the degree of security within the system. The purpose of this assessment is to identify vulnerabilities and the vulnerabilities that were mitigated and provide recommendations to improve overall security posture. Vulnerabilities found and mitigated included critical and low-level severity vulnerabilities. Critical vulnerabilities require immediate attention. It's relatively easy for attackers to exploit and may provide them with full control of defective systems. USD CyberCloud was able to harden the CentOS servers and CentOS workstations by mitigating the vulnerabilities as shown in this slide.
USD CyberCloud conducted a penetration test post-hardening according to our statement of work. The reason why we did this and recommend this for all our clients is that it validates that vulnerabilities that were identified previously, that the fixes were successful, and that they're no longer able to be exploited due to the work that was done. Unfortunately, we were not able to do a follow-up pen test on the 2 Windows 2016 servers that were the domain controllers and the file share. This is very unfortunate, as those would be 2 likely targets of any attacker. Also, due to this being a sandbox environment, the customer was unable to implement network segmentation that we had previously recommended. The information security plan represents the company's commitment to safeguarding their intellectual property, employees' personal information, and any customer information they have. Why we went into this with the customer and have it as a deliverable in our statement of work is it clarifies the roles and responsibilities and sets a baseline standard from which they can then go forth and measure themselves on. It doesn't matter what standard that is selected and articulated in the information security plan. Two standards were discussed during our engagement: NIST 800-171 for controlled and classified information, and ISO 27001. Again, the most important thing is to develop that baseline and work to have a roadmap that increases the security and decreases your risk over time. The risk management aspect that will be articulated in this information security plan also ensures, again, that everyone's on the same page with any exposures, risks, and that controls and investments that are made are done in a cost-effective way that aligns with the company's risk appetite.
Thank you for watching our presentation. Have a wonderful day.